Well, hey, Dwight, another great message. We are in the midst of life is complicated, but here at New Point, we want folks to know we want to help. We want to give
Absolutely.
you the tools, the resources. We want to help. And
Right.
so this week, we dug into parenting.
Right.
What a great time to talk about parenting because 2020 has been a challenging year for parents and for kids alike.
Absolutely.
So I can remember having surgery, waking up from surgery. That's when my wife woke me up and said,
Oh,
"Hey,
wow.
they just canceled school. I got to go pick up the kids because school is now canceled for the rest of the year." And so we had to learn how to become homeschool parents and how to adjust to our new work schedule. And everything seemed to be so crazy. So
And life became very complicated.
very complicated. I think so many people can relate to that. So
Right.
we hear parenting messages, but I think this time makes it just right. And so you talked about 5 qualities to have in general
Right.
as parents. And the first one is basic, the foundation. Revere God, fear
Right.
God. Then respect others. Teach our kids how to respect others. And then be reliable, be resourceful, be resilient.
Right.
So out of this, we've asked people from our church to ask any questions that they may have for you or send those in. And so we've got our first one from Scott in Sugar Creek. Asks you, Dwight, what's your best or worst parenting moment?
Yeah, I'll go general on you and tell you a story. You know, always my worst is when I reacted out of emotion, and maybe I reacted out of frustration of just life without knowing all the facts. I remember Caleb was probably maybe 5 years old, and I walked into our bathroom, Patty and Mai's bathroom, off of our bedroom, and water was everywhere. And he
Been
was
there.
there. He was the closest one. And I just thought, what have you done?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And I yelled at him. And in yelling at him, you know, I could tell and it still bothers me today because he was fearful. And anytime a parent responds in anger, it usually creates fear in the child.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had done that. And it got even worse when I realized that he wasn't the one. Okay, it was a
Wow.
whole nother situation that caused that. And so I went back to him and I told him I was sorry, asked him to forgive me. And kids are very gracious when we as adults respond to them in humility and admit our wrong and ask for grace. And so he forgave me. And so that's probably the worst. And I can tell you a number of other times of when I didn't respond correctly, maybe because of my own frustration in my own life that was going on.
Sure, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Sure. And then the best is always about loving their mother. You know, you would think that it would be individually, but I think that my best parenting moment is when they see Patty and I interact, and I respect her, she respects me, we love each other, we're affectionate in front of the kids, we hug each other, we kiss each other, we thank each other, we relate to each other in a right way, because to me that brings stability, that brings security. You know, I don't understand when people remark about somebody and they say, well, he's not a very good husband, but he's a great father, or she's not a very good wife, but she's a great mother. I say, can't be. You know, there's no way that I can be a great father without being a great husband to Patty. There's
good.
no way that she can be a great mother without being a great wife to me, because they're intertwined. And when that relationship is solid, when that relationship is strong, when it's genuine, then what happens is it speaks stability and security, and nothing else can give that to your kids.
That's really good stuff for people to hear because I think, in today's society, so much is individualistic.
Right.
So I'll just be a good dad. That'll be enough for my kids.
Yeah.
But God wired our kids to see their parents loving,
Absolutely.
to learn what love is by watching them.
Well, what happens is it's your kid's first interaction with seeing how people operate with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, how does dad treat women? How does mom treat men? And they're going to take that with them into their relationships that they have.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So Tanya from Millersburg, she asks this question. How do you not fear for your child's future?
Well, I think one of the ways is what we just talked about, and that is you train your kids. You train them to revere God, to be resourceful, to be reliable, to be resilient, to be, all of those things there, respectful. Because what happens is God honors that. God honors that. There'll always be, from a human standpoint, a little bit of concern, but we shouldn't be fearful. Patty and I, one of the things that we did when all of our kids were very, 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 very young, they were at least 3 months to 6 months, we dedicated them to God. And we realized, hey, you know what? We're a steward. We're only going to have them for a little bit. And ultimately, they're God's. And you can put Patty and mine's love together, and it's a drop in a bucket compared to God's love for them. Matter of fact, when we had gotten married, people would ask us, are you going to have kids? Yeah, how many are you going to have? And I said, well, I'd like to have 4. And people would look at me like, are you crazy? Why would you bring 4 kids into this world? Well, I believe that when we train them, okay, and we're intentional with them, and we teach them the principles and the truth about God and who they are and his love for them, and that they have a purpose in life, then what happens is it sets the course for them to go into a broken world, and you can have confidence that, you know what, yeah, life isn't fair. They'll have their ups and downs, but they'll be able to make it because their foundation is Christ.
It's fantastic to think about that. And I love how you say, like, we dedicated them when I think a lot of parents dedicate their kids and they go through a baby dedication.
Yeah.
But what that means is I'm not in control of this life.
Right.
I can steward it,
Right.
but I'm giving it to God, and that's kind of how I love hearing that.
Well, here's just a little PS, okay? If I can't trust God with my money, if I don't give, if I don't tithe, there's no way I can trust God with my kids. And because money, treasure, is a
Sure.
tangible thing. And so I've trusted God with that.
Yeah.
And I've seen him do incredible, unbelievable things. So that helps me trust him with my kids. Because really, it's about a trust thing.
Yeah.
Do I trust God to lead my kids, protect my kids, provide for my kids? And so he gives us ways in which we can do that. And I talked about that, time and treasure. So when I learned to trust God in those 2 areas, it's amazing. It's amazing how I learned how to trust him with my kids.
That's good. That's really good. Dwight, earlier this week, you and I were talking about this message and going back and forth, and the question came up like, hey, what about those parents who are parenting their kids and maybe their kids are older?
Yeah.
And they feel like, is it too late for me to make a difference? Is it too late for me to make
Absolutely
an impact?
not.
I loved your answer.
Absolutely not. And the key's humility.
I love that.
If my kids are out of the house and or even if they're in that coaching stage or friendship stage of where I can't really discipline them, I set them down with those 5 things. And I say something like this, hey, I want you guys to know I love you, and mom and dad have gotten some information that we wish we would have had when you were little. And we'd like to go over it with you because we believe this is so, so, so important. And we want to help you in any way that we possibly can to make sure that these are a part of your life and help you in that way. And to me, humility always makes available grace. And when you approach your kids, older kids, with humility and say, I know I didn't get it right. There's things I wish I would have changed. I got some more information. I'd like to share it with you. Then I think that they're very receptive and open for it. And then you begin to pray. And then you begin to model it for them.
Yeah.
As you relate to them, because now they're adults. And so they want to know, are you reliable? They want to know, do you respect me? They want to know, do you really revere God?
That's good. I think in this day and age, man, we just tell people it's never too late.
Never too late.
But the key's humility.
Key's humility.
Don't start with, hey, you should trust me now. Hey, right. I'm going to start with, I was wrong.
I was wrong.
But going to start
forgive
now.
Me.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that. And so if you are a parent out there and you feel like, hey, I dropped the ball, want you to know it's never too late, not when God's involved.
Right.
The key is humble yourself. Don't go in with pride and have your expectations high. Humble yourself. Dwight, it's been so good to sit and chat with you. I'm so glad that we're able to offer this to parents this week. Want to remind you, if you're not a part of a New Point group, make sure that you go to newpoint.org/groups. It's better to live life together in community than to do it alone. I want to remind you, if you are alone watching this, however you may be watching, and you want to talk to somebody, we've got a great resource for you. It's called our Intercom, newpoint.org. On the bottom right-hand side, you'll see an icon. Click that there. We've got pastors and staff waiting to talk to you. Thanks again for joining us today. Dwight, thanks for answering these questions and being just candid with us. We appreciate it. Have a great week.
Great.